Hello everyone, this is Nina and welcome back. Today I'll be showing you how I make book sleeves. These book sleeves are cute and functional. I use them to carry my journal. You can use them to carry your books or your journal, and I also made one that comes with a front pocket to carry some stationery with me. This tutorial features 3 different designs which I'll walk you through one by one. This project is very beginner friendly and very versatile. I've included 2 sizes in my pattern, A5 and A6. First, I'll show you how to make book sleeves with a ribbon closure, followed by a button and elastic closure. Finally, I'll demonstrate how to add a pocket to your book sleeve. Here are the dimensions you can use to make an A5 sized book sleeve. I've figured out the best dimensions for making book sleeves, especially for the one with ribbons. I've included these dimensions in my pattern, and I'll be using my own printable patterns in this tutorial. These home printable patterns make it easy to create A5 and A6 sized sleeves with different closures and an optional front pocket. They save time, improve accuracy, and streamline the process, helping you achieve professional looking results effortlessly. If you want to make these beautiful book sleeves quickly and easily, you can check out my pattern linked down below. To make the book sleeve with the ribbon closure, I started by first placing my pattern onto the back of my outer fabric. I traced out my pattern, then cut the pieces off. And here are my outer pieces. I'm going to put these aside and cut my fusible fleece. I'm adding fusible fleece to the back of my outer fabric to add thickness and structure to my book sleeve. It also adds a bit of an extra protection to my book. You can even use a thicker fleece and make a quilted one. Lastly, I'll use the pattern to cut my lining pieces. To make this book sleeve, you need 2 outer pieces, 2 fusible fleece pieces, and 2 lining pieces. Now I'm going to cut and make the ribbons for this book sleeve. When you tie the ribbons together, they create this really cute bow on the side of the book sleeve. They also keep your book from falling out. I used both of these pattern pieces to make the ribbons. First, I folded my fabric and placed piece A onto the fold. I traced the pattern twice because I need 2 of them. Then I cut them out. I opened up the pieces and placed piece B along the top edge, making sure the tip of the pattern aligned with the fabric's top edge. I traced the pattern on both pieces and then cut off the sides. This step only needs to be done on one end of the fabric. Then I folded the fabric in half with the right sides facing each other. I sewed along the edge with a 1/4 inch seam allowance and backstitched at the start and end to secure the seam. I trimmed the top and side corners so that my ribbon would lie flat when I flip it right side out. I applied the same methods to both of my ribbons. I couldn't find my loop turner, so I decided to demonstrate this using a pen. For those of you who also don't have a loop turner, you can use this method to turn your straps out nice and easily. I start by pushing the top of my strap in a little bit, then use the pen to push it out completely. After flipping out both of my straps, I ironed them to make them look nice and flat. And now I have all of my pieces together ready to assemble the book sleeve. I started by pinning the outer pieces together with the right sides facing each other. Then I sewed along the top, bottom, and one side edge with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, leaving one of the long sides open. I backstitched at the start and end of the seam. Next, I flipped it right side out to attach the ribbons. I found the midpoint along the open edge and aligned my 2 ribbon pieces with the center, one on each side. After clipping them in place, I sewed the ribbons on close to the edge of the fabric, backstitching a few times to secure them. Now that the ribbons are in place, I sewed the lining pieces together with the right sides facing each other. I left an opening on one side for turning the book sleeve out later. After sewing the lining, I left it as it is because I needed to place the outer pocket inside before assembling everything. I then pushed the ribbons and the outer pocket into the lining, aligned the edges, clipped them in place, and sewed along the edges with back stitching. I made sure to match the lining and the outer pieces together for a more professional finish. Lastly, I turned the book sleeve right side out through the opening I left in the lining. I adjusted the layers, then closed the opening by sewing close to the edge. For a cleaner finish, you can also use an invisible stitch. To give the book sleeve a neater, more professional look and prevent the lining from shifting, I also added a top stitch around the edges. And here is the book sleeve with ribbon closure. It fits nicely around an A5 sized book or journal with extra space for small items like pens or sticky notes. I love how the ribbons look on the side, and there are so many ways to mix and match different colors and textures for the outer fabric and ribbons. To use the book sleeve, simply tie or untie the ribbons. Every time I use mine, it feels like unwrapping a gift. The ribbons are just a really fun addition to the book sleeve and just looks so cute. However, if you're looking for a more convenient opening while still keeping your book secure, you can opt for the button and elastic closure instead, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. I will be demonstrating how to make the button and elastic closure book sleeve using the 8/6 sized pattern. This time, instead of leaving one of the long sides open, I left the top side open to sew in the elastic. As before, I flipped the outer pocket right side out, left an opening at the bottom of the lining pieces, and inserted the outer pocket into the lining. Here I took a shortcut by directly placing the elastic in the middle of one side between the two layers. I cut a 6cm, about 2.5 inches piece of thin round elastic, matched the ends together to form a loop, and positioned them slightly over the top edge before clipping it in place. If you are a beginner or want extra security, I recommend first sewing the elastic onto one side of the outer pocket with back stitches before assembling the layers. Clipping also helps keep the elastic in place while sewing. Here, I backstitched several times to make sure my elastic is secure, then I continued to sew along the edges. You can see the elastic here between the two layers. Next, I closed the opening at the bottom and top stitched my book sleeve. And the final step is to sew on the button. To sew on the button, simply find the midpoint on the other side of the book sleeve, about 2 centimeters away from the edge. Make sure everything is secure and the button and elastic closure book sleeve is finished. To close the book sleeve, simply pull the elastic down to secure it. This design is both convenient and functional for everyday use. It keeps your book secure and allows for quick and easy access. And finally, I'm going to show you how I added a pocket to my book sleeve. This is the pocket piece from my pattern. To make the pocket, I cut one outer piece and one lining piece. I skipped fusible fleece to avoid adding bulk, but I recommend using a thicker fabric for better structure. For this pocket, I used a floral fabric paired with a powder pink canvas for the book sleeve to create contrast, and it turned out really cute. You can mix and match different colors and textures to personalize yours and make it more fun. Then I placed the lining and outer pieces right sides together and sewed along the top edge with back stitches. After opening the layers, I top stitched the edge to make it neat and flat. Top stitching gives a professional finish, so I like to add it whenever necessary. You can also press the fabric to flatten the layers, making top stitching easier. Before sewing the book sleeves outer pieces together, I attached the pocket to one of them. Instead of leaving it as one large pocket, I sewed a line down the middle to divide it into 2 slots. You can create additional slots by sewing more lines onto the pocket before assembling the sleeve. This also helps secure the pocket in place, preventing it from shifting when sewing the layers together. A great tip for beginners is to first stitch around the edges of the pocket to keep it in place, ensuring it stays even when sewing the outer pieces together. After attaching the pocket, I followed the same steps as before to finish my book sleeve. I find the pocket incredibly functional because I like carrying my stationery and stickers along with my journal, and having the pocket allows me to keep everything I need in one place. I especially love the slots because they help me keep my tools organized. I also added a button and elastic closure to this book sleeve, and I love how it turned out. There are so many ways to personalize this pattern to suit your preferences. For example, you can add pockets to both sides of the book sleeve, create pin slots by stitching more lines on the pocket, or even add a zipper. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.